So how has your understanding of church been shaped and evolved? I mean, you grew up in it, so you like you said, you had this understanding of the role of the preacher and a call to that, but also a part of the body, all that. So tell me a little bit about just your journey in understanding church as a kid, as a teenager, also called to be a police officer, and then as you started doing pastoral ministry for all these many years, working with a variety of churches. So just walk me through that journey.
Yeah, maybe I'll make the police officer pastor connection first.
Okay.
Because people tend to get stuck there because they see those as diametrically opposed to each other in some respects. But it's not. It's really just taking care of people is the bottom line. As a police officer, when you get that call for help, it is about taking care of the next person. Be it, unfortunately, in some cases, removing someone from a home because they've been violent and haven't treated their family well, or finding a missing kid, or catching a bank robber or murderer. And the same in the military. It is my role in the military and security forces now as a squadron commander. It's about taking care of people, both the people who work under my command, and then also the democracy and the country and the way of life that we represent sometimes on foreign soil and places that most people don't go. And so that's the connection I'll make there. The way this has evolved for me, as a kid, you went to church because you were made to go. Although for me, I did, for whatever reason, find it enjoyable, and there was a certain amount of fulfillment that I got from it. In the Black community, there's a saying in one of the old songs. My mother drugged me, right? She drugged me to church,
right.
Sunday school. So I tell people, for us, church started on Fridays. Friday night, there's usually some type of singing program. The quartet singing was real big in my childhood. And Saturday night, same thing. And then on Sunday morning, Sunday school started at 9:00, and then we'd run to the corner store and buy penny candy and try to have a quarter left of the dollar that somebody gave you to put in the offering. And run back. And then church service started at 11, and then we'd grab a quick lunch, and then we'd have a 3:00 program.
Wow.
BTU, Baptist Training Union, at 6:00 and a 7:00 program. And that was just Friday to Sunday, And so for us, the church was this place of community, oftentimes stronger community, sometimes than even your own biological family. It was a place of equipping. It was a place of mutuality. If you needed help, I helped you. And if I needed help, you helped me. We found all of those things in that little church there in South Texas for me. I think as I came into adulthood, this thing became more personal, but not to say that I always understood it. So I remember getting to my first duty station in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Now I'm 18, 19, been in preaching ministry for a few years. And now I've got to figure this out on my own, And when I say on my own, I mean apart from all the people that I'd grown up with, right? Now I am an adult, I'm legal. Let me say it that way.
Right.
But now I'm legal, and I'm in a new community in every sense of the word, new city, new vocation in the military, new church, new pastor, new standards, new understandings. It was just, just trying to figure this out, trying to get my bearings, so to speak. And that evolves in a lot of different ways over time. Ultimately, I wound up in Denver some time later and got called to pastor my first church. Now I'm late 20s. I started seminary. I was in our community. We tend to do first and learn the theory later. And so that was true to form for me, so ultimately started seminary and now it becomes real personal, right? Because now I have to juxtapose what I've been taught in that little church in Texas. It was because Pastor Kane or Pastor McIntyre said it was. As opposed to now, you're in the books and you're learning things academically. Not all of those things jive.
Yeah.
Right. And then I got to show up in the pulpit on Sunday morning with people who are now I'm the Pastor Kane and Pastor McIntyre that people are looking to.
Yeah.
Now I've got to sort out what I learned as a kid versus what's now being pushed on, in the academy, versus now what I have to represent ecclesiologically in the local church. And so, a lot of tension in that. A lot of tension in that. And then, fast forward another 5 or 10 years, and now things get a lot more personal, right? Now I'm in the military 15, 20 years, 25 years, and now you've got to think of things like evangelicalism,
Yeah.
white versus black,
Yeah.
right? Or now I've got to contend with things like how does church marry with patriotism?
Mm-hmm.
And I realized we've been using a lot of the same words, but meaning different things, right? So again, I don't want to take up all the time, but that's just a little bit about how my journey has evolved, and we can pick on any of those as you wish.
Well, what are the tensions? You talked about some tensions back then when you were in seminary, and and how there's been, I think it's just been different tensions. Doesn't sound like they've gotten. What are the tensions you're feeling currently?
Ooh, the tensions I'm feeling currently are about 10 months ago, 11 months ago, December last year, I resigned my pastorate to enter into the academy full time and into consulting full time. And so we decided to merge our church with another local church.
Mm-hmm.
We were predominantly Black. Although they had a Black pastor, they were predominantly white congregation. And so the tensions that we feel now are around the practice of the Sunday gathering,
Mm-hmm.
Around how we define church. I think in the Black community, church is who we are. It is very personal to us. That's my family, right? That's not just my preacher. That's my pastor. That's the guy who's in this case, who's responsible for giving an account for my soul, right? There's a level of intimacy that we look for. And I don't know, I want to be careful to say this well. I'm not saying that my white brothers and sisters don't look for the same thing. I'm saying we express it differently.
Yeah.
So now we're trying to marry these expressions of faith and church and proclamation and worship, in the sense of singing and song selection and musicianship. We're trying to marry all of those things. And those are some of the tensions that we're experiencing now.
Wow. So you and I have talked a little, well, I don't know, even more than a little about this, because you're doing your thesis on, well, I'll let you summarize it. What's your terms? If somebody asks you what you're working on right now for your doctoral thesis, what do you say?
What I tell people is I'm working on how to help Black Christians and white Christians get along.
Okay. Yeah.
I guess formally what I'm working on is trying to tear down racial barriers to deepen the sense of koinonia, the Greek word for fellowship, brotherly love in the Christian community of faith.